Hi guys. Hello everybody. Hi Grumpy. Hi Taz. Hi Armin. Hi Grumpy. So many times. An early session for once, plus the brief is up. Yeah, and I'm hopefully recording a new video today, which will be breaking down. Basically, I was thinking that one of the new segments. I was thinking that one of the new segments that I'm gonna do is I'm going to do like a segment, which is probably going to be my favorite segment because I get to be a dick and not feel bad. But it's basically going to be breaking down celebrity hot takes on the invasion of Ukraine and politics in general later on. But for now, it's going to be invasion of Ukraine. And so that's what we're going to do. That's basically what I'm aiming to do. With lives and such. Also, we finally have good light, and John figured out my camera for me, so YouTube should be much better. We are still working on the angle because I need to go get our tripod from a place where it is that isn't here. But this is the new setup. I'm going to be at my desk, which makes sense because my computer is here, all of the stuff is here, and I feel like also just the setup is much less distracting. Hi, everybody on TikTok. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Veronica. Hi, everyone. Hi, Prexis. Hi, Jahar Dadaev. Hi, Taz again. Hi, Carolyn. Good to see you. Long time no see, huh, guys? But basically, yeah. So we're figuring everything out. I do highly encourage you, if you watch the brief, which the new one is up on the channel already. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Peter. Hi, Jason. You need the cone diffuser that Malcontent found. What is a cone diffuser? So John has a set of lights that I'm going to bring from like a place where we left them a while ago, where I used to work. So I'm going to probably do that tonight. And he also has a tripod, which is going to be helpful because that way I can like set my camera wherever I want it to be and at whatever. Hello, Scooter, and at whatever height and like stuff like that, because right now I have it on a chair on 2 boxes, and that's not very great. But John, being my producer and editor, or other editor and now producer, decided that he wants me to be here because he's like, the light is better there, you have all of your stuff there, it just makes much more sense. And I kind of agree with him. So now the news are going to be done in the setup. We just need a tripod to sort of, so you don't see under my desk, and so I don't have this much space in between my head and the top of and the camera. But we're slowly getting there. So if you watched the new brief, so if you guys watched the new brief, thank you, Lauren, for subscribing to this one too. Oh my gosh, but there are no cine emojis yet. I need to upload them. But so this is the backup account. I just want to make sure that everybody is aware before they subscribe. But so basically what I was saying is, hi, Alex. Hi, Beef Ninja. If you watched the brief, I highly encourage you, which I'm going to start doing in the middle of the video too, is to comment how you feel about the new additions. I don't know if you noticed, but every week we've been basically, since we're figuring out the style and sort of like figuring out the ease of things, we've been adding new things every week. Like this week, we've added some more graphics. We've added some background music. We've added a different color key because I don't know, like we've had some trouble with color keys, provided that the lighting wasn't fully figured out, like color coding of the video. Thank you so much, Mariana, and stuff like that. So if you guys have any suggestions on things you like or you dislike, or like things that you found distracting or things that you really liked, let me know in the comments to the video so we can, discard of the things that you might find annoying or distracting or anything like that, and we can keep the things that you find informative and you find good. Like we tried to put some like positive spins on certain things, like, we've added those like popping up like figures of people that we talk about if I don't have a quote or something. Basically, if we basically we added those, like, if I'm not reading a quote, but I'm still talking about something someone said, I kind of want you to know who this is. If you don't know their name, you could see their picture and maybe remember them and stuff like that. So I thought it would be helpful, but and it's also funny because they kind of like slide up and stuff. So it gives it a little bit of a mood. Oh, thank you, Lauren. Hi, Vernon. Also, so here's the thing. Also, Yulia, did I mention the font size on the briefing just needs to be slightly bigger? Oh, do you mean the font size on the quotes? So I'm figuring out. Here's the thing: like the quotes that we put into the video. Thank you, Eva. Thank you so much. The quotes that I'm putting into the videos on the brief on YouTube. The reason why the font size was so small this time around is because the quote was very huge, and we still haven't found like a quote animation that we really like, because these things, like, unless they're super terrible, you need to pay for them. And we have like a graphics subscription. And so under that website that we use for all of our like motion graphics, we don't really have anything that would fit such huge text and that we would find like visually good. So we're still looking for one. If you guys watch like Philip DeFranco, he has this thing where he has like a paraplax of an article, and then he has that quote that kind of follows the thing. This is something that we want, and we can't find that for now. So we're going to either try and figure out how to create it ourselves, or we're going to find one. But, you know, we are on it. So if you meant the quote text, then we are aware and we are working on it. But thank you for mentioning it. Okay, so Jahar Dadaev on Twitch says this. Let me see. He says, what is the difference between the introduction of Russian troops into Ukraine and the introduction of Turkish troops? And also, didn't notice why every conflict goes circular every month. That is, first the aggravation goes to Kosovo, Karabakh, Taiwan, or somewhere else. Okay, so I'm struggling to understand. Sorry, I'm struggling to understand particularly what do you mean? What do you mean why it goes circular? As in, like, every month it comes back to Kosovo and other conflicts worldwide? Well, because Russia is involved in most of these conflicts, and so the reason why it keeps circularly coming back to those conflicts is because Russia wants a distraction. You know, they want Europe and NATO to focus on something other than Ukraine. It's basically like it's aggravation of the situation in order to distract. Now, what do you mean? What do you mean about Russian troops into Ukraine and the introduction of Turkish troops? You need to be a little more specific on that. Introduction of Turkish troops where? Because, you know, that could be a double entendre. It's, you know, as in, like, I'm happy to answer the question, but I'm not quite sure exactly what you're asking. But for the second part of the question, as in why every conflict keeps circling back, is because quite literally they're trying to create a distraction. And Kosovo, Russia is involved with Serbia, you know, Karabakh. Obviously, Russia is involved with both Azerbaijan and Armenia, mostly Armenia, because, you know, Azerbaijan needs Russia less than Armenia. And now Armenia is even, like, pulling away from Russia. So that's good news. And Taiwan, well, that's just China. China is trying to, you know, China always wanted to take over Taiwan, but obviously they're seeing now that it's not going to be such an easy situation. And also, you know, like, I don't want to say too much about China because I'm not an expert, but I follow a great TikToker who is. But basically the thing about China is that they will always want Taiwan, right? But they also they're probably not going to initiate that conflict, because there is a high chance that, because China is a dictatorship and the state of the things is not necessarily being proclaimed and not necessarily being disclosed, they might have the same problem with their military as Russia does. So I don't think that they would want to go into this conflict knowing that the US can step in, knowing that not only would they lose, but also the whole world would know that their military is not as strong as they're trying to portray it to be, because, well, we just quite literally debunked a huge superpower that turned out to only be a superpower in its facade, right? So China wouldn't want that to happen to them. So I don't really see them doing it anytime soon, or doing it in the manner in which we all expect them to do it. So I hope that answers your question at least somewhat. Okay, here's the thing. So Fabri on YouTube says, hello, dear. One curiosity. What do most of Ukrainians think about China in this moment? The Ukrainian government maintains a neutral stance towards China and doesn't recognize Taiwan. Okay, so individually, Ukrainian people stand with Taiwan because obviously, first of all, we understand. If anybody in the world understands what it's like, we understand Taiwan. So we do stay. We are obviously aligned with Taiwan. I think Ukraine is maintaining a neutral stance on China because China is critical to like influencing Russia. In fact, China is the only country left that really could influence Russia because it is in fact a superpower, or at least it is believed to be so right now. Привіт, Краматорськ. Дуже добре вас бачити. Also, China is a dictatorship, so obviously Ukraine can't stay. Ukraine doesn't have a neutral stance on China, but we have to maintain a neutral stance on China, and we can't declare our real view on China and Taiwan because realistically, again, the only country left that influences Russia is China. And so while we are in a huge military conflict, well, it's not a conflict, while we're suffering from Russian aggression and China is the only mediating source, we can't full out come out and be like, well, China, you are a dictatorship and we stand with Taiwan. Screw you, because at that point, China will just stop saving face and will side with Russia. However, China, interestingly so, nobody talks about this, but China provided security guarantees for Ukraine, not in the Budapest Memorandum, in a separate document, and it was like way weaker security guarantees than the UK and the US, but they did. And also, funny enough, I posted a video reminding people about the Budapest Memorandum, which is funny because the first time I posted that video in February, no Americans even knew what I'm talking about. And today, so many Americans are fighting me and saying that the Budapest Memorandum was only the guarantee of Ukrainian sovereignty, not territorial integrity. And so, and that the US and the UK only agreed to help, and Russia only agreed to help if sovereignty was going to be questioned. But that's not true. It was a guarantee of sovereignty and territorial integrity. That's why we gave up the nukes. And you got to read the fine print, first of all. Second of all, it was a guarantee of territorial integrity and it was a guarantee of sovereignty. And one of the signees completely violated that agreement, which brings us to the point that, A, Ukraine is entitled to its nukes back most likely, because the only reason we gave them up was all of these guarantees, and one of the signees of these guarantees violated them. So that's a whole separate question. Second thing is that the UK and the US know this, and the UK and the US know this, right? They understand the nuke situation. Obviously, they don't want another country in the world to have nukes, especially since our arsenal was third largest arsenal in the world at the time. So it's not as it's not as like black and white as people are saying, like, it was just territorial. We supporting Ukraine, but it was just sovereignty. It wasn't just sovereignty. It was territorial integrity. A country does not give up nuclear power for just guarantees of sovereignty. We were naive, but not that naive. Also, Beef Ninja is saying, looks like TikTok will be getting the boot in the US due to national security. No, that bill was introduced by a very radical Republican senator that most likely this bill is not going to pass. They're probably also doing this because the first time around that they introduced this bill, TikTok changed some ways that they do business in the US. A lot of their clients are in the US, their users. So most likely TikTok is going to succumb and do what the US wants it to do in terms of security and data and stuff like that. And I think that the only thing that is likely to come out from this bill is that TikTok is going to give in and do some more stuff the way that America wants them to do it. So I don't really foresee TikTok getting the boot. And then, hi, Yulia. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kathleen. So good to see you. Also, someone saying, why are they saying that the US installed a puppet regime? Well, because Russian propaganda, and a lot of people just go with whatever Russia says. And it's an easy, if you don't like Ukraine for whatever political views, for whatever reason, you are just going to go with what Russia says. And Russia says that, they're fighting NATO. So, of course, that's what you just go with. It's not necessarily an informed opinion and really doesn't have no backing behind it. It stems back from the Hunter Biden conspiracies. It stems back from Russian propaganda. It's just, people are saying this because they're parroting rhetorics with no evidence, right? And because US is giving Ukraine weapons, so it's easy to say, look, it's a proxy war. But again, there are so many historical documented reasons for why US should be giving Ukraine weapons and aid. So anyways, that is what I have for you today. For every one of you who is new, hi, my name is Yulia. I was born and raised in Lviv, Ukraine, and I've been living in the United States for the past 12 years. I moved here at the age of 16 for education, and now I am 28. My immediate family, all of them, lives in Ukraine, in Lviv. That includes my mom, my dad, both of my grandmas, my grandpa, and my aunt. I'm the only one who lives in the US. On this channel, every day we do live news live news that come out of Ukraine and pertaining to Ukraine, and we basically dissect them, we break them down, we give them historical, geopolitical, and otherwise context that helps you guys make sense of this invasion and everything that's happening, not only through the news part, but through context, right? And what it means and why it happened the way it happened and why certain countries are behaving the way that they're behaving. I answer all of the questions, or at least as many questions as I can, and we sort of have a discussion around it. Now this live is airing on 4 different platforms at the same time, and that is TikTok, that is Twitch, that is Twitter, and that is YouTube. And if you are not subscribed to me on YouTube, I highly recommend that you do, because thank you so much, Netlin, and thank you everyone. I really appreciate it. I highly recommend that you do, because these lives are usually an hour to 2 hours long, and we dissect all of the information in depth. But on YouTube, thank you so much, Crushing Gain, and thank you, Melissa. On YouTube, we have briefs, which are these short news summary breakdowns that are under 20 minutes long, and they basically give you the rundown for everything that happened up until midweek every week, and then at the end of the week, and go in depth at the news for the past 24 hours on the day. They usually air on Wednesdays and Sundays, and they cover the previous week's events, and they summarize them and stuff like that in under 20 minutes, which is super convenient because it's very quick and it gives you a lot of information in depth. Now, my YouTube and all of my social media is under the same handle, well, except for TikTok right now because I'm on my backup account. But if you are looking for me on YouTube, you can go to my profile on TikTok and click the link in bio. And you will find, oh my gosh, thank you, that's so cute. You click my link in bio and you will find all of my social media connected above right near my profile picture. So everywhere that I am on social media is going to give you is going to basically be presented to you there. Also, if you are not lazy and you just want to look me up on YouTube, you can look me up by searching up YEWLEEA on YouTube, and it's going to bring you there. So basically my handle is the same everywhere, and if you're on TikTok, then you just take out "it's" from the handle, and there you have it. That's how I am signed on everywhere else. And this is what you will find when you look for my YouTube. That's what it's supposed to look like. So here we go. Sorry. Oh my gosh, it might be a little hard for the camera to catch on, but yeah. Oh my God. There we go. Also, no one comment on the fact that my battery is really bad. It's always like that. Nothing is ever going to change. I'm very bad at charging my battery, so it's always going to be low, and I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Kind of sorry. Not really sorry. It is what it is. I am bad at charging up my technology. And also, if you decide to go onto my link in bio and try to find my social networks there, then here it is. This is what it looks like. And all of the social media is right here. Right here. And that's the link in bio that you can find on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere. So yeah, okay. Well, with that said, please follow me on YouTube. It does, or subscribe to me on YouTube. It does help a lot to spread the news because, you know, the more people watch it, the further it goes. But also, it does help. It is much more convenient than sitting through a 2-hour live, even though, you know, these are incredibly useful because they have a lot of information packed into them. And you can ask me questions real time. Thank you so much, Netlin. Okay, so Brandy, thank you so much. Hi, Casanova. Hello, everyone. Hope all is well. Yeah, so far so good. Okay, so we have a lot of video material today with the news, so that's going to be interesting. Specifically, right away, we have a video from from PMC Wagner soldier who allegedly deserted and then posted a video asking Putin to help, is reportedly detained and handed over to Prigozhin, which is so interesting. So this guy basically sent a video because he, I guess, like figured out that it wasn't rainbows and butterflies and he won't just get paid for like going to the front lines and like, you know, nothing is going to happen to him. And so he recorded a message for Putin, and apparently this guy was detained and is now under like prosecution or investigation. So I'm going to show you the video that he recorded, and we're going to watch his lovely speech together on full screen on YouTube. And for once, I figured out how to do this in no time, which is fantastic and fascinating and so helpful. So we are going to flip the camera so you guys see the screen. Oh, great. Look at that. 1 second. Almost got it. Yes, got it. Where outside of Ukraine you lived that your engine is so good? My engine? I'm not a sports car, sir, but...
Андрей, фамилия Медведев. Я являлся сотрудником компании ЧВК «Вагнер». 6 июля 2022 года мной был подписан контракт сроком на 4 месяца. После подписания контракта я убыл на направление Сальск в зону СВО, специальной военной операции на Украину. Дислоцировались мы в Луганской области. Непосредственно участвовали в боях под городом Артемовск. По распределению я попал в 7-й штурмовой отряд, 4-й взвод, был командиром отделения. Компания в одностороннем порядке изменили контракт, продлив до 6 месяцев, не спрашивая на то мое мнение. После я самовольно убыл по месту своего пребывания. Связано это, скорее всего, наверное, с тем, что мне не очень нравится, что там начало происходить, а именно после начала поступления осужденных на военную службу. Вот. Странные вещи, убийства от своих же сотрудников, от службы безопасности Вагнера, осужденных. Тупые приказы, которые давало наше командование, бросая нас на мясо, на танки с автоматами. Отношения, оскорбления, избиения. Я хотел бы обратиться к президенту Российской Федерации Владимиру Владимировичу Путину, хотел бы обратиться к начальнику Следственного комитета Российской Федерации, к генеральному прокурору Генеральной прокуратуры России, к директору Федеральной службы безопасности. Прошу вас оказать содействие. После моего самовольного ухода меня службы безопасности Вагнера начали преследовать во всех возможных формах, гласных, негласных. Я в настоящее время опасаюсь за свою жизнь и здоровье. Я не совершил какого-либо преступления. То, что я отказался участвовать во всех вот этих вот непонятных маневрах Евгения Пригожина и каких-то еще его...
Okay, so funny enough, this guy, well, not funny, that's sad, but it is what it is, you know. This guy basically was found and he was given to Yevgeny Prigozhin, the man that he says was stalking him, and the man that he says was like, you know, going after him because he... I just unplugged as per usual, unfortunately by accident, my camera from YouTube, so I'm sorry. Oh, okay, so here is basically, this guy was apparently found, and he was transferred to Yevgeny Prigozhin, who is like the commander-in-chief, or like the owner of the PMC Wagner company. And apparently he was like stalking this guy for telling the truth, and he was like, harassing him, and this guy was afraid for his life. He recorded this message for Putin, and Putin, instead of helping this person, obviously just surrendered him to Prigozhin himself. Yeah. So he was detained and handed over to Prigozhin, reportedly. Hi, Belgium. Oh, good to see you. Also, Kanti said, oh, I still say she was from Minnesota, the person who taught me English, because you have a Minnesota accent. That's so funny. People consistently keep saying that I have like a Midwestern Minnesota accent. And it's so funny to me because I don't hear it. And no, actually, like when I started learning English, I learned it from someone who spoke like English, not American English. And I used to have a pretty heavy English accent until I moved to the United States. And because like I'm very, like languages and pronunciations are very interesting to me. And also they come fairly easy to me. So I just sort of like, I wanted to sound more American. It was easier. And now this is like how I'm used to speaking, and that's how I speak. But I used to have a much more like English leaning accent for sure. So yeah, but it's funny to me that I sound Minnesotan to people. But yeah. Okay, Russian military attacks Kyiv with Iranian Shahed drones overnight. The military administration reported that 9 drones have been shot down so far. Air defense forces are working. Air alert continues in Kyiv and the region. Oh my gosh. So one of the admins of this channel that I'm getting the news from currently lives near one of the attacks and observed the consequences of one of the explosions from his window, and says, whoever is in Ukraine right now, please take care of yourself. So, yeah. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said several explosions occurred in Solomyansky and Shevchenkivsky districts of the capital. All services are working on the ground, and so far that's all preliminary information that we had as of 11:28 p.m. today. So, a.m. today. So Russia here. Oh my gosh. All right. So Russia is like working on this missile that they keep saying they're going to release, and it's Satan II, and it's an intercontinental ballistic missile. And so this Russian singer basically released a video glorifying this missile. I'm going to play it on the big screen, but I am not going. So it does have subtitles, and I'm going to have you hear the subtitles, but I am going to put the volume down because I don't want a copyright claim from Russia, and I don't want them to make money off of my streams. So we're just gonna do it that way. But it's but yeah. So a Russian singer released a video glorifying this ballistic missile, Satan II. The funny thing is that, well, first of all, this missile is not really like, this missile hasn't like been produced yet. They keep saying that it has, but it really like genuinely hasn't. And now the release of this missile was planned for 2023. And now they're not going to be able to do it because they're sanctioned. So there is nothing that they could manufacture this missile out of, which is even funnier. So they keep like talking about this amazing technology that they have developed in Russia that they actually have like no way of implementing. Kind of really hilarious. But yeah, so we're gonna watch this without audio. So I'm going to, I'm not going to mute myself. But if I watch this with audio, then YouTube is going to find this as a copyright, and yeah, so YouTube is gonna find it as a copyright, and unfortunately, or fortunately rather, I really don't want Russians to monetize on me. Yeah, so this crazy person is singing about how they're going to send this ballistic missile onto the United States. Kanti says, Hunty says, I have heard this missile. Sounds like a cross between, oh my, I have heard this music. Sounds like a cross between, oh no, oh my gosh. Why do I always have so many issues with technology? Oh, Jesus Christ. You guys, if you only knew. I forgot to charge my freaking, what's its face? My freaking camera holder. So give me 1 second, because if I don't, my gimbal, so my camera is not being held, is not going to be held on its own. Oh no. Okay, well, give me 1 second. Sorry. Lyrical pause for Yulia being not great with technology and not doing things on time. So, okay, why won't you just stay in place thing? Okay. Will you not stay in place? I need you to stay in place. Oh my God. This is quite annoying. Okay, please don't move. Why would it move? No. Oh man. Okay. Well, this is what we're gonna do. Here it goes. Okay. That should be fine, right? Yep. Perfect. Okay. Yep. We got it. Get the duct tape. Nope. I got it without the duct tape. Okay. My husband did teach me some things. Не можете знайти мене на Ютубі. В мене є Ютуб, він підключений до мого link in bio. So if you go to my link in bio, you will be able to find me on YouTube. So yeah, basically, oh, we know, dear, we see it every day. Oh gosh, tech wizard. Yes, I know. Oh my God, you guys are like, you guys are being so mean, but in such a like me manner. You're like, oh yeah, we know you're terrible at technology. We watch you every day. This is quite obvious. Don't you worry. We know you suck. Oh man. This is so sad. The image I've made for myself. You are aware that I'm a UX designer, right? Right? Like, as in like I worked in tech before this. And no, the reason why I don't work in tech anymore is not because I'm bad at it. It's because I decided to do this full time. But I work in a very different sector of tech. Okay. All right. So in Lviv, which is my native city where I was born and raised, my hometown, a stylized anti-tank hedgehog was hung on the top of the Christmas tree. So I don't know if you remember what anti-tank hedgehogs are, but they're these kind of like, this is a hedgehog. There are these spiky things that are supposed to stop tanks, like tank wheels, right? And so one of these has been stylized with Christmas lights and put at the top of the tree. Which, you know, I'm kind of like inclined to make that for my own home Christmas tree. And I keep forgetting to record the video with John because we wanted to, my Christmas tree has lights on it. It does not have any decorations because I want to decorate it with my husband, who doesn't like decorating and doesn't necessarily like celebrating holidays, because for him, it's a time to reflect on his life and he likes being alone. And I, like, while this year, I fully support that idea. I don't want loud parties or anything like that. I love holidays. I love. And also, you guys, one of the things that we are probably going to do this year, which if he finally does this, it's probably going to come to you way after Christmas. But those of you who are on Patreon, you're absolutely getting it because I have your addresses, mwahaha. But we were going to do a Christmas card this year. We were going to shoot like a Christmas card. Probably we'll do it this Wednesday. And it is supposed to be in front of the tree, me, John, and Cindy, and we're gonna probably look funny. Like, I want it to be hilarious. I want Cindy to be like a little gremlin demon. And so I want it to be like dark humor. But so we are gonna probably shoot a Christmas card. And for those of you who are on Patreon, you're 100% getting one. For those of you that are not on Patreon, oh, gute Nacht. Gute Nacht, Deutschland. But for those of you who are not on Patreon, I don't know if you would like to have a Christmas card. Please send me please send me your address some other way if you'd like to, or consider signing up for Patreon, where you can see a lot of the behind the scenes and also receive a Christmas card from me and John. That's going to come way after Christmas, hopefully before New Year's, but in the winter. You know, a Christmas card during the winter makes sense, right? Listen. But we are not even celebrating the Christmas in January anymore, because that's Russian influence, and we are de-Russianizing and decolonizing. Anywho, basically, we are going to be doing a winter card, Christmas themed, me and John, and sending it to everybody who's on Patreon. And then is Cindy gonna be a humbug? No, I want Cindy to be like a gremlin demon. But can mods ask for one? Yes. Have we had another call on Patreon? No, but I'm going to schedule it for this Thursday. So I think this Thursday is a good time for a call right before Christmas. We can all discuss the holidays and talk about what all of us are doing, and we can just like kind of hang out and talk about all of these things. So for those of you who don't know, if you're not on Patreon every month, we starting last month, we decided to do, thank you, Crazy Cat. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Crazy Cat. Thank you for camera entertainment. But yeah, if you're not on Patreon every month, we do Zoom calls. So it's just me and everybody who wants to join, and we just kind of chat and hang out and catch up. So the next Patreon Zoom call is going to be this Thursday. Also, Yogi is saying, so it takes some time because it's an electronic card, right? I see what you did there. I see the pun with my absolute, unableness. I know it's not a word, but it is now, to like handle technology. But no, it's actually going to be a paper card, old school. I like cards like that. I love cards. So we're going to print them out and we're going to send them to everybody who wishes. So if you're not on this live and you just receive a random Christmas card from me and John for Patreon, well, you'll know. You'll know that we did a Christmas card. But for all of you who want a card and are not on Patreon, please contact me otherwise if you want to give me your address, and I will send you one as well. Or you can consider supporting me on Patreon, link in bio. And if you're on YouTube, then it's in the description of this video. There is, like, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there is my Patreon. Okay. Zelensky initiates convening a special summit on the peace formula this winter. The Ukrainian formula for peace is 10 clear points that can create a new security architecture globally. Something that will return freedom to our Ukrainian land, to all our people, and what will serve as guarantees of freedom and security for other nations. And not if, but when it works for Ukrainians, the president said. Speaking of peace summits and speeches, I love how FIFA rejected his request to do a peace speech as if it was something controversial. But then again, as I said in my brief, FIFA also about a month ago asked Ukraine to ceasefire temporarily so everybody could watch soccer worldwide in peace. But realistically, what they meant is like, hey, if people are watching the news about Ukraine, they're probably not paying full attention to the soccer cup. So we're probably not going to get nearly as much money as we hoped we would. So yeah, anyways, that's just absurd, but it is what it is. His full speech is available in my brief that aired today, and you can find it there and you can access it there, because if FIFA won't share it, I will. So these are the photos of the consequences of the night attack on Kyiv that are still being eliminated. Take a look. These are kind of like very artistic and abstract, so it's so it's hard to sort of see what's happening, but it's just fire and flames, and unfortunately, abstract or not, that's basically what Kyiv is right now. And it's sad because some of these shots, they're beautiful, they're professionally taken, they're beautiful, they're so artistic, and like I look at these photos sometimes and I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful picture, and then I realize it's a picture of the destruction of my country. And my country is on fire. And I think to myself, wow, actually, it is a horrifying picture. Great Britain to supply Ukraine with hundreds of thousands of artillery ammunition in 2023. The British government plans to provide a steady flow of critical artillery ammunition to Ukraine throughout the year. Russians once again attacked the center of Kherson. The building of the Kherson Regional State Administration was damaged again. And symbolically, if you zoom in here, you can see that there is a Ukrainian flag painted on that building. Let me see if you can see here. There is a Ukrainian flag right here painted on that window. And that's also symbolic that they hit the Kherson Regional Administration. And, the wall, they hit the wall and it fell right until the point of the Ukrainian flag. In Kyiv region, 3 people were injured and 9 buildings were damaged due to the morning bombing. Air raid alerts sounded in most regions of Ukraine, excluding Mykolaiv and Odessa, which is the south, and basically all of the areas of western Ukraine. The Russian Defense Ministry announced joint naval exercises with China at the end of 2022. The exercises will take place on December 21st to 27th in the East China Sea, including missile launches and artillery fire. Such maneuvers have been held annually since 2012. Russian Foreign Ministry threatens Greece over plans to provide air defense to Ukraine. According to Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Zakharova, the potential transfer of S-300 systems to Ukraine will be a gross violation of the Russian-Greek intergovernmental agreements on military technical cooperation and will inevitably have consequences. What kind of consequences? What sort of consequences can Russia realistically provide to any country at this very moment, given that they are militarily annihilated? What sort of consequences can someone face for providing air defense to Ukraine? What is Russia going to do? Russia is going to sanction Greece? Boo-hoo. Russia is going to expel Greek citizens from Russia? Boo-hoo. Russia is going to, threaten them with military? What military? She says, it is not too late to abandon dangerous plans. We once again warned the Greek leadership of responsibility, Zakharova said. Well, I guess you should have thought about that before you attacked a sovereign nation and started committing a genocide, before you were sanctioned by everyone in the civilized world. And when I say civilized world, I don't mean that in the definition of first world countries. I mean that in the definition of everyone except for Russia and Russian sympathizers. NSDC Secretary Danilov believes that the Russians have enough missiles for 3-4 attacks, but after that they will be exhausted, which is unacceptable for the military. Here is the story. So first of all, let me comment on that. So exhausted as in their supplies are going to be so low, critically low. And usually you should leave 25 to 30% of your supplies in every area of the military in case you are attacked, so you could defend yourself. And Russia is exhausting their supplies to the point where they're going to fall critically below the 25 to 30%. In fact, I think they are right now at about 25 to 30%. Okay, this one's big. Ukrainian intelligence admits that our agents work on the territory of Russia. Since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, Ukrainian agents have been working in Russia, conducting operations using various means. These operations are complex and require serious preparation because Russians are well guarding their military facilities. Our targets are purely military, objects of the Russian armed forces from which strikes on Ukraine are carried out, in particular logistics centers, command posts, or garrisons with a large number of soldiers, said Vadym Skibitskyi, deputy head of the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, in an interview with the German edition Bild. So this is something that everybody has been speculating and wondering about. Everyone has been wondering whether there are Ukrainian agents on the territory of Russia that are committing these airstrikes on certain targets, that are setting certain facilities on fire. And a lot of people were telling me, Yulia, maybe Russians have woken up, maybe they're doing this. And, I generally kind of, since months and months ago, do not believe in Russian resistance whatsoever. But it does seem like that might have been the work of Ukrainian intelligence and Ukrainian agents that are undercover in Russia that are setting these targets on fire. Now, don't take this as a fact. This is my assumption. But the way that this has been portrayed does indicate that that's most likely the case, because listen again to what he's saying. Our targets are purely military, objects of the Russian armed forces from which strikes on Ukraine are carried out. In particular, logistics centers, command posts, or garrisons with large numbers of soldiers. But military targets are also factories that produce wheels for military vehicles, factories that produce military equipment and stuff like that. So you know, it does smell like Ukrainian involvement. The spokesman for the president of the aggressor country, Dmitry Peskov, said that Russian dictator Vladimir Putin is not going to force Belarus to participate in the war against Ukraine, but hinted that the regime of Alexander Lukashenko should make a decision voluntarily. We have the most advanced integration regime with Belarus, so no one forces anyone. Everyone takes steps that best meet A, the interests of our people, B, the interests of our union state. So, see, I'm inclined to not believe that, because literally anytime Russia says anything, they're doing the opposite or thinking the opposite. So it does seem like, since Peskov felt the need to address the rumors that Putin is going to Belarus to specifically to force Lukashenko into the invasion, it does, and said that, no, he's just going there for whatever other reason. It does feel like he is going there specifically to force Lukashenko into the invasion. Hi, Nicole. Yeah, in our people's best interest, because Russia has their people's best interest in mind all the time. All people's best interest in mind all the time. Such a good country. The Russian occupation administration in Crimea is destroying the architectural monument of national importance, the Khan's Palace in Bakhchisarai. They started dismantling the roof and the ensemble of color-stained glass windows of the Golden Cabinet, as well as replacing the ancient roof with modern building materials. So the Palace of the Khan in Bakhchisarai is one of the most important sites for Crimean Tatar history. Obviously, we know that Russians don't care for minorities, and obviously we know that they have been putting specifically Crimean Tatars through the ringer for the past hundreds of years, and they have been deporting them. They have been committing a genocide against them. And also in Crimea, that palace, when I was doing research in the beginning of the invasion to see what Crimea looks like under Russia, I have found that they have not been maintaining the palace, and there were cracks in the walls of the palace. So I'm assuming because they have not been putting any money into maintaining its glory, it's probably been falling apart, because it's a very, very ancient structure. And so they decided, you know what, it's falling apart. We're just going to take off all of these historic things, and we are just going to substitute them with a new roof, which is horrifying, because it's an architectural, like it's an architectural, not wonder, but it is an architecture. Well, technically, yeah, it is an architectural wonder. And it is a historical building, and it's so sad that they're ruining it. Volodymyr Zelensky named the number of new kamikaze drones that Russia received from Iran. 250 drones. That is how many Shaheds the terrorist state has now received. 250 from Iran so far. A correspondent of the Donbas Realities Project visited Snake Island, liberated from Russians in the summer. The buildings on the island are mostly destroyed. There is a lot of destroyed Russian equipment, including at least 3 anti-aircraft missile gun systems, Panzer S-1, and air defense systems, Tor, and fuel refuelers. Ammunition also remained on the island. So this is what it looks like. Snake Island defenders, if you remember, those are the ones that one of them said, Russian warship, go F yourself, heroically, that became the symbol of Ukrainian resistance. The phrase, it became the symbol of Ukrainian resistance. And also, a lot of the defenders from the Snake Island still have not been exchanged back to the territory of Ukraine because Russia tends to keep two types of POWs hostage and not let them go back home. And the first type is the Snake Island defenders, and the second type are any defenders of Azov. Vladimir Putin's plane entered the airspace of Belarus. Before that, 2 more planes took off from Moscow and St. Petersburg, probably to divert attention from the aircraft carrying the president of the aggressor country. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak urged to ignore any calls by Moscow for a ceasefire until it withdraws from the occupied territories in Ukraine. So Rishi Sunak is now becoming a little more vocal after he had ordered the audit on the impact of the British supplied weapons onto the war in Ukraine. And he is trying to me, it looks like he's been very vocal lately. And to me, it looks like he's trying to fill in Bojo's shoes in terms of support to Ukraine. Because while I'm not a fan of Bojo, he was very loud and very vocal in his support for Ukraine. Ukraine has not yet received any weapons under the Lend-Lease. The Foreign Ministry explained that so far, Washington provides weapons under other programs free of charge to save the Ukrainian budget in the future. The volume of supplies of American weapons under the Lend-Lease program directly depends on the financial capabilities of Ukraine. Insufficient assistance or its inefficiency will have fatal consequences for the entire free democratic world, the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry explains. So this is actually something that the United States did that's very admirable. Instead of like lending Ukraine weapons that we will have to return or pay for, right? They're giving us free aid. And that's why we haven't tapped into the Lend-Lease yet. Polish support for Ukrainians and Ukraine since the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Russia may reach $9 billion, which is almost $2 billion in military aid. According to the most conservative estimates of the publication, $3.6 billion is state aid. Private aid only in the first 3 months after the outbreak of full-scale war can reach $2.2 billion. Today, this amount has increased by several billion more. Military aid is at least $1.9 billion. This is reported by the Polish edition of Rzeczpospolita. Reuters says wheat exports from occupied Crimea to Syria increased 17 times to 500,000 tons. This is almost a third of total grain imports to the country. So Russians are obviously stealing Ukrainian grain. Now, this one is interesting. So basically, you know how there are a lot of predominantly tankies, naysayers, and Russian supporters who say that weapons in Ukraine are being misappropriated and sold in the black market, which there is no evidence to that. Even the Pentagon says so. The Pentagon has found no evidence of anything like that. Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S., Markarova, says Kyiv welcomes calls in the Republican Party for a more thorough review of U.S. aid to Ukraine to protect it from a full-scale Russian invasion. So we're in the same boat here. We don't want it to get into the Russian hands. We're not saying, no, don't check it. You know, we do want that. You know, as in, it's funny because I feel like the Republicans are trying to portray it as if like, oh, Ukraine wants to like misappropriate weapons. Like, no, we are also scared that they would get into Russian hands, but we were trying to do everything so they don't. Okay, Ukraine received power equipment worth more than $100,000 from U.S. aid. These are devices that allow you to control technological processes and monitor key technological parameters of substation operation, timely identify problems in equipment, and prevent accidents, the message says. Russia may invade Moldova as early as 2023, head of the Information and Security Service of Moldova, in an interview to TVR Moldova. The exact time will depend on the course of the war in Ukraine. Russia plans to create a corridor with the Transnistrian region, where their troops are currently stationed. The risk of an attack on the Moldovan capital, Chisinau, is very high. The question is not whether Russia will launch a new offensive towards the Moldovan territory, but when it will happen, at the beginning of the year, in January, February, or later, in March, April. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Also, just a reminder that super chats and super questions and super stickers and gifts are very, very appreciated, although they're obviously not expected and not like necessary, but they do go a very long way and do help me provide the news for you every day, since it's my full-time occupation now. And it does really help. So if you would like to, if you are so kind and generous as to send me a super chat or a super sticker or sign up to Patreon or send me a gift on TikTok, they're incredibly appreciated. And thank you very much for even considering to do so. Okay. In Kyiv, lights were lit on the main Christmas tree of the country. That is the Christmas tree that had these, thank you, Suzanne. That is the Christmas tree, the same Christmas tree that had these like doves on it that only had one generator shining light on it. So today they lit it up in the colors of the Ukrainian flag. And again, it's powered by a generator and it's much more modest than it usually is as well. Well, because, you know, it would be misappropriation of resources if we wanted to have a super elaborate Christmas tree during massive blackouts. So yeah. The Southern Defense Forces see signs that Russian invaders are acting according to the same scenario as they did when retreating from Kherson with regard to the temporarily occupied Melitopol. So one of the hot topics has been Melitopol because Russians have been putting up these like dragon teeth fortifications, which are these triangular like concrete objects that are supposed to prevent a tank from passing, but they're kind of like an outdated technology, and Ukraine is mostly using drone warfare to begin with, so it's not necessarily really smart. But they have been doing that in Melitopol, and that's something they were doing in Kherson before they were trying to retreat. They also fully understand that armed forces of Ukraine have all the capabilities of entering Melitopol and taking it over sooner than later. So it does look like they're using the same strategy for retreating, but it's too early to say. But they might be planning a retreat from Melitopol already, because obviously they know they can't hold the Ukrainian army from coming in. Oleksiy Kuleba, the head of the Kyiv Regional Military Administration, showed a house that was hit by a kamikaze drone at night. This is the destruction. So if you see, it's a yard, and in the yard, this is a crater from the explosion. Just terrifying. It's a private house. Germany views Putin's first visit to Minsk in 3 years with concern, government spokesman says. The concern is caused by the unclear answer to the question about the role of Belarus in Russia's aggressive war against Ukraine and possible further transformation of this role. The Russian president arrived in Minsk on Monday, December 19th. It is reported that attention from this board was distracted by 2 other aircrafts. It's actually funny to me when, you know, all of these politicians internationally say like, oh, we are concerned that Belarus might join the invasion, or we don't know really what Belarus's role is in the invasion. Thank you, Todd. What do you mean you don't know what Belarus's role in the invasion is? How do you not know what their role is? They have been letting Russia use their territory as another extension of Russia, and there have been missiles that have been shot onto Ukraine from Belarus. There have been planes that took off from Belarus, drones that took off from Belarus. Like Russian military is stationed in Belarus. What do you mean they're aiding and abetting the invasion? What do you mean? What is their role? Like, sure, their physical military might not be invading Ukraine, but they are fully involved in this invasion. The situation with electricity supply in Kyiv remains difficult. On Monday, December 19th, all 3 groups are almost completely cut off at the same time. The schedules do not work. So in Ukraine, there are different groups for when you get electricity based on neighborhoods in order to not overwhelm the power grid. And so all 3 groups had their electricity cut off at the same time, which normally doesn't happen. Are long blackouts in Kyiv real now? Yes. 10 hours without electricity is unfortunately the reality in the capital today. It is difficult to predict how quickly we will return to stabilization. Power engineers at all levels simply do not have time to restore the functionality of the system between arrivals. But I hope that tomorrow will be a little better, the CEO of Yasno Kovalenko said. Yasno is an energy company. So yeah, Kyiv is in a very dire position in terms of blackouts, and of course, the last strike did not destroy as much infrastructure as the previous strikes did, and Kyiv's air defense did manage to take most of the missiles out before they landed. So not many of them did, but at the same time, there's so much damage done to the infrastructure already that any little blow is a big blow, and a much bigger blow than it would have been had so much infrastructure not been destroyed already. There are some interesting things in the Crimean Isthmus near Chongar. So here is the city right here in Crimea. And this is what's happening there. Take a look. Of course, he's using derogatory slurs to call Ukrainians. That's so funny. Wait, he's Russian. He's saying, I'm never going to come here again. I'm never going to come here again. We barely made it out. We barely made it out. It's like, okay, great. I love me a Russian who understands his assignment to never come to Crimea again, to leave and never come to Crimea again. You understood this? Perfect. That is like, in fact, a much better Russian than most of these like pseudo bloggers who advocate for Ukraine on social media while like planting the seed of like a light touch of Russian propaganda. This is a better Russian than most Russians that I have encountered. He understood what we want from them. He's like, okay, I'm going to get out of Crimea and I'm never going to come here again. Perfect. Yes. That's all we wanted from them. Yes. 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 Why are you saying it as if like it's a bad thing? Yes. Sir, you might be the only one who understood the assignment. Yes. It says just tea, by the way. I feel the need to say this for TikTok. Okay, air defense forces shot down 2 enemy helicopters today, according to General Staff. And a fan of Argentina from Vyshhorod was watching the final in the police station due to lack of electricity. So this lady is a fan of Argentina in the World Cup. And she was watching the World Cup at a police station because that's where they have lights and electricity. And she could not miss the finale. But so basically what I was going to say is, what I was going to say is that Ukrainians really love soccer. We grew up watching soccer. We grew up, Andriy Shevchenko at some point, Sheva, was one of the only Ukrainians that was like worldwide known, and he was our pride and joy. And so we grew to really, really love soccer no matter what. And it became one of the most popular sports in Ukraine. Every boy in Ukraine knows how to play soccer most. I, as a kid in my front yard to my building, was playing soccer with my friends because soccer, how do you not play soccer? So it's one of those things where we do love our soccer. And even despite the fact that FIFA refused Zelensky's speech and held it in Qatar, most Ukrainians were watching the Soccer Cup because it is important to us. And there is a Ukrainian, and he's saying, football, Yulia, football. I mean, I understand. Okay, it took me a while to get used to soccer as well. And I get that. But now that I'm in America for a while, I feel the need, especially since a lot of my audience is American. I feel the need if I say football, people will think it's American football, which also I absolutely despise the fact that you called it football because it's not football. There's nothing that has to do with feet. Okay, it's a ball held in hand. And the way that you strike is also by throwing it. So how is it football? It's not football. Rename it. Just petition from Yulia. Rename American football to something that actually makes sense and to stop calling football soccer. I'm probably the only Ukrainian who doesn't like soccer. Has Ukraine played at the World Cup? Not this one, but we have in the past. World football and call it soccer foot. No. Oh my gosh. No, soccer foot. Jesus. No to soccer. Stand up for what's right. Yeah. Thank you, Todd. Thank you so much, Todd. Well, with that, that's all I have for you for today. So you guys let me know if you have any questions, any suggestions. If you have watched the if you have watched the what's this? Oh my gosh, why is it not charging? Jeez. If you have watched the brief, please let me know if you liked it. Please let me know if you and please let me know if you have any suggestions. Let me know if you like the new additions. I'm going to start asking you some questions during the video as well, because I'm curious to know your opinion on some of them. Hand egg, that's so fun. Oh my gosh. Poverty Barn says it's not football, it's hand egg. I mean, yeah, to be honest, yeah. It is egg-shaped ball, and it is thrown by hand, so I fully agree with that. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah. Hi, Thomas. Good to see you. But yeah, so that's all I had for you for today. Do let me know if you like the brief. Please do watch it, and let me know if you haven't watched it yet. Go over to YouTube and give it a watch. It's really good. My YouTube is the same as all of my other social media, and it's Yulia without the it's, because TikTok, I'm right now on my backup account, so it's not necessarily the right thing, because my backup on TikTok is it's Yulia, and my normal TikTok is just Yulia with nothing else there. But this is what it should look like when you find it. There you go. I'm going to bring it closer to the camera. Come on. Oh, come on, focus. Okay, so this is what it should look like. This is what it should look like. And yeah. Considering the tackling component of playing the sports, how about brawl ball? Yeah, that makes sense. I am okay with that. Is the cooking show going to be like the electronics? Oh my God, no. No, Casanova. You missed Armin's point. You mean Armin's quote? Oh my gosh. Yes, I did. Armin, where is your quote? Okay, Armin's quote is up for a while now. The one who goes boasting to war never comes back. Finnish proverb. Arrogant Russians boasted and began a war they thought would last 3 days. Now they have lost tens of thousands of their sons. Yeah, that's the whole thing, is like, boasting about anything is never good. It's like, trying to portray yourself as someone you are not is never good. And also, in Ukraine, we say "Не кажи гоп, поки не перескочиш," which is basically like, don't say hop until you have hopped the fence. Because if you say hop before you have done that, chances are that you're going to trip or something. So here is a Ukrainian proverb that I'm going to teach you. And it's "Не кажи гоп, поки не перескочиш," which means don't say hop until you've hopped. So yeah. Here is a little Ukrainian proverb for you. Oh. Can we have Zelensky emote on TikTok? Yes, we can. Oh, hi, Note Ultra. And Yogi, early New Year celebration Crimea. I'm off to play hand egg. Okay. Good luck with hand egg, and thank you guys for all of the bless yous. I appreciate that. And for tomorrow's news, I hopefully will be able to set my camera up so that there's none of that awkward situation over here. Alrighty, I shall see you guys maybe later tonight for just some chat on TikTok, and if not, then tomorrow. And in the meanwhile, please, please, please watch the brief. Let me know what you thought. Send it to your friends. You never know who might be becoming interested in Ukraine because of the easy way that the news are being presented there. And we did add some funny moments. John added an editor note that I didn't see until It's kind of an Easter egg that I didn't see until I watched the premiere, and it's kind of funny, so go look for that. John is being snarky. You know how we were talking about, John leaving little editor's notes of like snarky comments that he makes to me while he edits my videos. So yeah, he did that, and I didn't know he did that, so that was fun. All right. See you guys tomorrow. I'm going to try and record the Russell Brand video today, and it's probably going to become a new segment where I basically talk about, hot takes of celebrities in the war in Ukraine, hot, uninformed, ignorant takes, and basically explain why they're wrong. And unfortunately, there's so many celebrities that have hot takes on the war in Ukraine. So we're never going to run out of material. Yay! Anyways, okay. Alrighty, guys. See you tomorrow. Love you all. You guys are fantastic. Thank you for caring for Ukraine, and thank you for watching me and not getting tired of my, as a lot of trolls say, squeaky, raspy, annoying voice. So, okay. Bye, guys. Bye-bye. Enjoy your evening as well. See you soon.